Welcome back everyone, and today we'll be talking about Asta from Black Clover, delving upon his story, personality, abilities, relationship, as well as some additional facts and theories. So let's start off with a short background about his origins and goal. Shortly after his birth, Asta was left on the doorstep of the Church of Hajj by his mother, where he was found alongside Yuno by Father Orsi, and the eventual foster father of the two. A few years later, he learns about the discrimination the people of the Forsaken Realm face. During this time, Asta sees a thug snatch away Yuno's necklace and springs into action, successfully retrieving the trinket but getting injured in the process. Asta promises to become the Magic Emperor, and this is the time when Yuno and Asta's friendly rivalry finally begins. After reaching the age of 15, Asta participates in a grimoire acceptance ceremony but fails to receive his grimoire. Later that evening, Asta sees Yuno getting attacked by a former first-class junior magic knight. He rushes to save his friend, but unfortunately he was outmatched. It was during this desperate situation that he finally receives the 5-leaf clover grimoire. And with this, he was able to use his first anti-magic sword, the Demon Slayer Sword, which he used to defeat the former magic knights and kicks off his journey. Next up is his personality. In general, Asta is cheerful, hyperactive, simple yet outgoing. He is unafraid to share his thoughts with those around him, even shouting to get others' attention. His robust attitude and unparalleled tenacity are what influenced Yami to recruit him into the Black Bulls. But perhaps his most significant personality trait is his indomitable will, as his tendency to never give up combined with his fortitude of steel become the most frequent basis of acknowledgement and respect from others. Asta is also shown to have a strong sense of justice, actively believing that those who have done wrong should actively make up for their mistakes, and expressing this strong desire to protect everyone, foes and friends alike. Speaking of friends, Asta is known to treat his peers as family, in line with the promise he made with his foster brother, best friend, and rival, Yuno. Asta and Yuno respect each other dearly and acts as they are key motivators to become stronger, as they fight towards their goal of becoming the Emperor Knight. Asta sees Yuno as a great magic knight and is no stranger to fighting alongside him, with the two becoming powerful forces that could be reckoned with, especially when they work with each other. Asta's other significant relationship is no other than the Black Bulls, namely Yami, Noel, Magna, Vanessa, and many more who he values dearly as close family members. He treasures each and one of the Black Bulls members so much that he will cross any line just to protect them. Finally, we move on to his abilities and equipments. Despite being a magic knight, Asta actually wasn't able to use magic since he doesn't really have mana in him. To compensate for his lack of mana, he actually trained for years to enhance his strength, speed, and durability. This allowed him to wield a huge sword just with a single hand. Asta is also a master swordsman and a user of ki, a sixth sense which allows him to perceive and react to unseen attacks. Although he doesn't have magic, instead he uses the unique energy called Antimagic, granted to him by the devil that lives inside him, Libe. Asta's incredible control over his power has earned him the rank of Arcane Stage Mage. Next, let's talk about his equipments and swords. Of course, number 1, he uses the 5-leaf grimoire, which houses the devil Libe. And by using this grimoire, he is able to summon 4 anti-magic swords. Let's begin with the first ever sword he got, the Demon Slayer Sword. This is a massive greatsword with anti-magic properties. Anti-magic can be extended from the edges of the blade, making the sword even bigger. And when he uses this is called the Black Divider. But don't get me wrong, the blade is still useful in defensive purposes as well. Since it's a large blade, he can use this to deflect spells and abilities. Plus, as Asta learns to manipulate and master the anti-magic properties of the sword, he was able to manipulate the anti-magic within the sword. He can use this to fly or hover through the air, or even controlling the sword remotely for long-distance attacks or summoning the sword from a distance. His second anti-magic sword is the Demon Dweller Sword. Since it is an anti-magic sword, it can be used to cut magic as well. But the special thing about this is it can absorb people's magic power. The original sword's ability is actually absorbing spells. By utilizing this, Asta can absorb magic and use the same properties of the absorbed magic as a flying slash attack. Alternatively, he can also let the sword absorb his own anti-magic and create anti-magic flying slashes. This sword is really unique since not everyone can actually wield this sword. Since it usually absorbs magic passively, anyone who uses it with mana drains their own energy. The third sword is the Demon Destroyer Sword. And this sword has a special ability, the Causality Break. It absorbs and removes the effects of the spell, severing the cause and effect relationship of that spell. So it doesn't really just dispel the spell, rather it dispels the effect of the spell as well. One great example of this is the magic is poison based and already destroyed the tissue. When you dispel that magic, it also reverses the effect on the tissue, reverting the effect itself. This effect is so powerful that it can even negate regeneration magic. In addition to this, it also uses anti-magic tendrils that whatever it touches, it also applies the same anti-magic properties. This makes it a very versatile weapon indeed. And last but certainly not least, the Demon Slasher Katana. This was originally Yami's katana, but when Asta's Devil Arm was able to touch it, it passed down the anti-magic properties as well. We have yet to see the full potential of this sword, but as of now, it works like a normal anti-magic weapon that cuts through magic and spells, and it's also capable of releasing flying slashes of anti-magic. So yeah, as of now, that's all the swords of Asta from Black Clover. And this actually sums up our character analysis of Asta. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell icon for updates on future videos. Lastly, before we end, maybe you can comment down below any character that you want us to do an analysis on. Again, that's all, and